And welcome everybody to today's session on Z Access TV. And for those who haven't met me before, I'm Leah Zalams and I am an executive leadership coach and sales and business development coach, particularly in the women's business, women's tech founders, those who are really wanting to scale. And this series of interviews are really honing in on short, sharp conversations with people who are truly thought leaders and experts in their field. No pressure, Les. Who have been doing what they're doing for a long time as well.
I'm out of here. No, come back.
So welcome today. We have Mr. Les Watson, the Get More Time expert. We've got about 30 fast minutes to really dig into a bit of the person behind this phenomenon of success coaching that you have developed and continue to develop. But before we launch in, let me just give our viewers and our listeners a little bit of background to put you in context, Les. And so you have a passion for an expertise in time management and productivity, which has earned you the nickname the Time Lord. Now, I've got a funny story. I'm going to come back to that, the Time Lord. He has worked extensively throughout Australia and Southeast Asia, delivering dynamic training programs for major corporations, small businesses, and individuals. Les's depth of knowledge and skill comes from over, oh my goodness, 30 years. 30 years of experience as a trainer, speaker, facilitator in self-management, motivation, and communication. He lives and breathes time management in his own life. Now, that to me, I'm in, right? Because I'm all about drinking our own Kool-Aid, Les. And I think that's sort of energetically, we probably haven't really sort of talked about it specifically, but I think we really resonate on that frequency, right? That whatever we teach and coach, we are our own, we're the guinea pigs, we're doing it. And not yesterday, not 10 years ago, even though we've got this background of experience, but you're living and breathing it and continuing to grow it. And I think that's one of the inspiring aspects that, from my experience of your work and you as a human being, that you are probably one of the most aligned kind of thought leaders. Like I don't see a stage face and a private face. Thanks. You know, I see Les, and I just want to acknowledge that before we kick off. Thanks. So how are you today?
Awesome. Life is good. I've been out for a walk and oxygenated. I've got stuff happening today, so I'm on fire. Look out. Go, ask me a first question. I'm ready and raring to go.
Excellent. Well, look, we've got 30 minutes today, and then of course we're coming together on the 6th, where you are presenting the your Get More Time signature talk. And of course, our viewers and listeners, if they're wanting to go deeper, if they're wanting to get more time, then that is definitely the place to be. So we'll make sure that we'll put that link to register for that, for those who want to really get deeper on exactly what we need to do to get more time. Yep. So perhaps let's start with that in terms of what you actually do and who do you serve, and then what is the major issue that your business solves for your clients.
So I've got two companies, Get More Time, Creating Success Coaching. Creating Success Coaching came out of Get More Time. And it started in the beginning as time management and productivity for small business, for individuals, and for corporate. Then with that spicy cough that came over the world, it became a thing of, okay, so we can't be in person. How do we do stuff online? And I became very adept very quickly in presenting online the same content in a way that not only resonated with people, but was actionable and was lively enough that held people for an hour on a topic that is not sexy. Leah, it's just not sexy. Let's do
So
time management.
what were the symptoms? What were they? What exactly were they suffering from that led you to this diagnosis and prognosis?
As I said, as you said, 30 years worth of experience in the field.
Mm-hmm.
The general populace struggles with a lack of time and too much to do. And you hear it all the time. I've got so much to do, and if I just had more time. So that was a standard in business. So it's like, I've got so much to do. How are you doing? I'm busy. How's life? Busy. It's like everyone's busy, 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 and there's no grace. There's no ease. There's no enjoyment. So what I bring is the opportunity to run a profitable business with ease and enjoyment. And it's all around how do you get underneath this thing? Because the book is called Get Back an Hour in Every Day, and it's not about necessarily creating 25 hours in a day. It's like, how do you manage yourself within the 24 hours that you've got? Where's your focus? Where's your, like, what's your one thing? And those small practical tips that I work with people on that enable them to go, why didn't anyone tell me that before? Why is it so easy now? Why do you bring it down into something that's so simple? What I don't understand. How can it be so simple? Well, it can be if you just focus on a few things.
Do you think that's one of the challenges, is that there is so many things to focus on, and then you put the spicy cough on top of that just throws the fear factor of the unknown, of what can happen into the mix, and so that creates even more craziness that the business owner, and I guess whether they're business owners, whether they're corporates, this catch cry of, I've got no time. Like, I'd have to agree with you that that would be one of the big reasons that people come to coaching. Is like, I just need someone to help me organize myself. It's like, I'm so busy and I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out. Now, technically, these people are not yet like clinically burnt out, but they certainly feel that way, don't they? So the kind of consequences, if you don't get some good practices in place, perhaps let's talk a little bit about that, because what I find is that it's almost like, my daughter has just started practicing as a junior doctor at Westmead Hospital, right, an emergency department. And she said one of the common challenges is that people wait so long till they are so bad that then it really is an emergency. Whereas in some other hospitals that she's worked in, people, it's like they come in much earlier of the pain cycle, if you like. And so and this is where, like the running out of time, and then having the spicy mix on top of that. What are the consequences if people don't take stock and actually take responsibility for this time challenge? Because everybody who wants to create something significant is going to be faced with this. Let's face it,
Yep. And you went down a rabbit warren there, and I want to go there with you. And that's the difference between a male and female, where the female of the species goes, I'm going to go and see my doctor. The male of the species goes, nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. And if you look at society as a whole, particularly in Australia, we have a prevalence of cancer in males that doesn't need to be there. Why? Because we currently have this thing of, I'm fine, and I'm going, no, go and get a relationship with your doctor. So I take people through a list of incompletions. And I talk about health.
List of incompletions, you said.
Yeah. So what's on your mind? What have you thought of and not started, not continued, continue not finished, finished not acknowledged? And those things sit on your shoulder and go, Leah, 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 Leah. And it's all of those. Yeah, exactly. And we wonder why we can't focus. So one of those areas that I get to talk about is health and fitness. And the question on the table is, when's the last time you went to the doctor? And all the women go, oh yeah, that's handled. And I don't even ask the men. I just go, write this down, make a doctor's appointment. Make a doctor's appointment, have a relationship with your doctor so that you catch things and prior to it being a smack in the head. Now, case in point, here's a story. I went to the naturopath. The naturopath said, oh yeah, let's do some bloods. Go to the doctor and get some bloods. I went to the doctor. He said, yeah, I'll give you that referral to get some bloods done. While you're here, let's do your blood pressure. And my blood pressure is through the roof. I didn't know. They call it the silent killer. Now, this isn't an interview about health and fitness, but if you're talking about business owners, if you're talking about individuals in business life, if you're talking about corporate, if you're talking about entrepreneurs, then we as individuals need to look after ourselves, because we can't serve other people if we're not looking after ourselves.
And do you know that's the crux of what drew me into coaching, Les, was why the hell don't we do what's good for us? So that might be another topic, right? And it's like, why the hell don't we take care of ourselves and put good time management practices into place? Because I know when I do that, my blood pressure comes down on its own.
Correct.
It's like there is so much that levels out when I'm not in that, monkey mind state, right?
But
which
I don't
is
have the
always
time.
running, isn't it?
But I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to look after myself. I'm too busy. I've got stuff to do. I've got empires to conquer. And it's like, yeah. Good luck with that. What's the opposite in theory from the plane? It's like, as the mask drops from the ceiling, put your mask on first. Why? Because you need to look after yourself.
You do. And I wonder if that's the crux point, that it's like, while we can tolerate, it doesn't get our attention. And then suddenly when we can't breathe, we'll do anything for that oxygen mask, right? So it's kind of like you've got to hit a rock bottom before you do something. But so what was it for you? What was that turning point? Because you could have turned your hand to many aspects of business consulting or or management. So how did you come to focus on time? And I know, as we've spoken before, that your sweet spot, the people you absolutely love to work with, is the small business owners. So I'd love to sort of get into what that means for you, and how did you come to focus on this one thing. And I love that strategy. And as we know, where our focus goes, energy goes and results flow. And we are in the era of specialization, aren't we? So keen to see what your turning point was.
I grew up in a hotel. My mum and dad were publicans, and therefore small business was in my blood. Customer service is in my blood. That was in Tasmania, came across to the mainland, and ended up doing a whole stack of personal development work. So self-awareness, what worked in my life, what didn't work, and learning new techniques I put in my life to lead a better life. From the early months, I did a time management session, a 3-day training, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and it changed my life. I went from being drifting Dennis to being on point, to being goal-oriented, to being organized. So that it has an effect. It had an effect on me where I went from life wasn't working to life worked. Life was disorganized to life being organized, to life being chaotic, to life being easy and enjoyable. And as I went through my corporate life and I had my own training company in Sydney, and I did sales and customer service and communication and team building and the like. The one
So
that
were
kept...
you always self-employed, Les?
No, not at all. I've had many and varied roles in my life, and I've also waxed and waned. And full disclosure, there's a saying going around that they won't work with people unless they've cycled once, and that cycling is that they've gone bust. Now, I didn't go bankrupt, but I did kind of wind a company up because I just rode it into the ground, and I didn't know what I didn't know. And coming on the back end of that, I went back into corporate, and I went into my old hand at hospitality, and then facilities management and EA and office management. And then when I came down to Victoria, the person I was working with said, "You need to launch your company again." I went, "No, that's not going to happen." They went, "Yeah, people need what you've got." And it was around time management and productivity, and that's where the Time Lord and Get More Time came from.
But there are lots and lots of coaches and consultants who say they will teach you time management. So what's the difference that makes the difference about you, Les?
I would throw that back at you, Leah, and go, "What? No." It's more about the stuff that I have is not rocket science or brain surgery. It's very practical. It's simple, and I give you the freedom to put it into your life and allow you to fall off the wagon, because it took me many a moon to get it right. And people go, "Well, how come it's not working?" Well, how long have you been doing? I've been doing it a week. Hello? I've been doing this stuff for over 30 years, and I'm
We're
still learning.
impatient. We're impatient
Yeah.
beings, aren't we?
Why can't I have it now? It's like, yeah, patience. Yes, Lord, but give it to me now. And it doesn't happen that way. You need to have stuff that are practical, have guidelines, have tools and techniques that you can go, "I'm going to give this a fly." And Leah, you'd know that a habit, people say that a habit is formed in 30 days. Well, they asked the question, "Where's the research on that?" And they couldn't find the research. So when they did the research, it was anywhere between 15 days to create a habit and 250. And the average for people was 66 days.
Oh, is that where the 66 days came from? But you know what's equally as astonishing, Les, is that we can just as easily fall off the bandwagon after 66 days or 250 days as well if we are not consciously daily. That's why those morning rituals need to be burnt into our consciousness and our foreheads and be on our fridges. So it's like we are constantly forgetting you know what and is it maybe can be that simple that we simply forget what we said we were committed to yesterday. And this is where accountability comes in, and this is where, I'd imagine that your coaching program comes in so that people are scaffolded in this change process of falling off and getting back on and being reminded of what they said was important to them. Do you find that like and I find when that's part of the reason I do what I do, because it keeps me on my wagon.
Oh, does it ever. And it is that thing.
So the wagon that you fell off was that you did find yourself in that valley of death in your own business. Is that what you're saying, Les? That you did wind up a company and then went back to corporate and went back and were doing lots of stuff you used to do, and then you tried one more time and
tried one more time.
And you got back on your horse.
I do it often here. I'll do something and my wife will say, "Oh, that's interesting. Why did you do that?" And then I'll go, "I don't know." She goes, "Well, I read this really good book." And I go, "Oh, really? What book was that?" And she goes, "Yeah." I said, "I read that book." And she said, "Well, why don't you do it?" I said, "Thanks for the reminder." So I'm being supported. Again, you use the word and I love it. That's scaffolding. I have scaffolding around me in my own marriage, in my business, that allows me to be held to account on my actions. Now, for those that are listening and watching, it's that thing of Leah and I are working with people to come alongside them and be that scaffolding. It's the check-in, it's the walking alongside, it's how are you doing, what's working, what's not working, how can we do things differently to get you a better result. And I've found over the years is that, for example, I've got a lady in Queensland, and she's not even an entrepreneur. She's not even a small business owner. She's in my coaching program specifically because of the support that she gets for her life, let alone what it then delivers into the corporate world. So she really likes it because she feels like she's supported. She's around common minds. She's getting like-minded people that are on the up. And I do a check-in. I'm not sure if you do a check-in. I do a check-in with my people. And I go, how are you doing out of 10? And they go anywhere from 0, called I'm in hospital. And I've had people check in from hospital called I've broken my leg and I'm not missing this coaching call. So that was really good.
Liz,
Yeah.
Liz, you're kidding.
No.
Now, if that's not a testimony to the gold that you provide in people's lives, my goodness, I just got chills with that. He's in hospital and he's calling in.
Yeah.
Now, that's a first. That is a first. Go you. Oh, I love it. No, I absolutely love it, because that is a testimony to the value. And it's very difficult to put on a website.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult to put, and I think this is the intangible consequences where
Now, I've lost your sound, and I'm not sure if it's your microphone or my speakers, but I didn't touch anything on my end, so I'm not sure. And for those that are watching still, it's a thing of ones and zeros. If we can get the ones and zeros fixed, we'd be just fine. But every now and then, the ones and zeros come along. And are you back with us, Leah?
Yes, I am. I muted myself and I didn't see what I did.
Okay. So that check-in, and I'll just pick it up from the check-in, from 0 through to 10. And people are doing 7s, 8s, and 9s, and others are doing, I'm on 20, and because life is great and I've just had a big win. And what happens is we all come together as an individual in a group to go, where are we headed? And I'm feeling a bit down. So they start out at a 3 and they end up at a 7. Why? Because they're in amongst people that are going forward. And I really like that. I'm one of my values is forming community. So my values, integrity, positivity, action, and community. And that thing of building community really works for me. It's like, don't be alone. And I have a model, the easy model, which is external action.
The easy model.
The easy model. External action, support, and internal focus. And the support is really key, because we tend to, individuals, particularly men, no, I'm fine, I'll do it myself. No, I'm fine. Whereas women get together and talk about it a whole lot more. Blokes have an ego thing. It's like, even down to, go to the pub and we don't even discuss what really matters.
Oh, not your golf swing. Your golf swing doesn't matter. It's the most important topic on the earth.
But Leah, you'd do a wheel of life with people and go, how satisfied are you in all of these areas? And yet we don't go there in normal life. And when you get a coach, the coach says, oh, by the way, what about this area? And you go, I wasn't going to talk about that. Well, I think that's where you need to go. I think that's where you need to focus. I think that's where the breakthrough is.
About that with, where do they go? And, shove it under the carpet, and then, you end up in emergency, right?
Yeah, how's that working for you?
Yeah, how's that working for you? But it's also, I think, again, a timing issue. That the great thing about having conversations with people, and even if they don't join you straight away, that you have definitely left a mark in their minds, and that when they do hit that rock bottom, or they realize they actually do need help, then they know where to come. And I think that's why conversations like this are so valuable, because we get a sense of who's the person behind the movement, behind the program, behind the stage presence, right?
Yeah.
And I know you're going to be delivering extraordinary value on Wednesday when we come together in the workshop. So we'll have a present about 40 minutes. I think you'll be delivering some gold for us, and then we'll have the breakout rooms where we can actually bring a challenge that we have into the room, and talk about how we can be doing things differently. Even if there's one thing that we take away from any educational session, then this is how we can be incrementally moving along, isn't it? So, and I'd imagine, like in your coaching system, so you've got the self-rating and the check-in. And do you find that people find that a bit tricky to do if they haven't been in the habit of self-managing before, Les?
It can be, and yet in a group of caring and a group of like-minded, loving people, that sometimes there's ego, but not a lot. And you kind of go, oh, it's okay. I can be honest with it. So I come in at a 3 or I come in at a 4, life isn't so good. And you go, no, that's okay. It's quite fine. The more honest you can be in where you're at, the more we can work with it. And
I'd imagine too that
Yep.
Is there a difference between like how readily honest women and men are? And this is interesting too, that you're going into a vulnerable kind of area of conversation, and you've got a mixed audience in the room. And I think there's a lot, to be said about that too, that the value of that.
Yeah. And I just one thing, because I know we're going to wrap up in a tick. One thing is, for you, Leah, I'm sure you're on purpose. And for me, I'm on purpose. And for other people, they get stuck on, well, I don't know my purpose. And I find that working with people and them discovering their purpose allows them to spring out of bed of a morning. It's like, Les, where do you get this energy? Of course, my purpose is to bring life. And I can do that. I can do that whether it's down at the corner shop getting a coffee, or it's in a training, or it's in a coaching session, or it's a networking, or it's out with friends. It's to bring life. So my wife is to bring freedom. Others is to bring clarity, et cetera, et cetera. So the question on the table is, what's your purpose? And if you don't know what your purpose is, then have a look at how you can discover that. And yeah, we can help you with that. Leah can help you. I can help you. And I won't go into it in depth in next Wednesday, but I really encourage people to come along, because there is scaffolding, there are support structures that will be set in place that will enable you to head towards discovering your purpose.
Because that's a journey in itself. And I think, as you're speaking to, Les, is that I think there are too many coaches and spruikers and clickbait out there, around the instant solution and the instant fix and the instant light bulb. And I think this is also one of the value adds that you bring to the table, is that 3 decades of such a rich working life and personal life, that you have integrated that for yourself. So you are absolutely qualified to be leading and guiding others on that path. And that just emanates from you, loudly and ever so gently. And, congratulations for all you have achieved so far. And I think the way you language things is really quite unique. you know, that you're not bamboozling us with terminology, right? And gobbledygook. You're actually bringing it back to everyday language, and these really are the foundational pieces, right? Of that, living with that sense of knowing where you're going and being excited about where you're going. That makes goal setting a completely different experience, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That makes doing the hard stuff, like running hills in the rain this morning that I did, right? Because I think, like you, like my purpose is very much is to be that constant inspirer of, yes, you can. We can go one more time.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice. And the language.
Yeah.
And the language is very interesting because I grew up in a pub. I grew up in a working man's pub. So if I grew up in a working man's pub, I understood the working man's language. And then as I progressed in my life, I ended up and did a lot. And I've served royalty. I've had that opportunity. I've worked at Government House in Canberra, at those sorts of things where from the top of the hill all the way down and anywhere in between. So part of my language is about, if I need to cover that span. And if I'm leaving anybody out, then that's on me. And I don't want to do that.
Yes. The inclusiveness aspect of community. Love it. Love it. Yeah. So I think I'm trying to put the link to the event for Wednesday in the chat. Where else is best for people to connect with you, Les, if they're wanting to hear more and get more time?
The easiest thing is my website, and I want to give you also a freebie. If you can't make Wednesday, I will put it in your chat and you can whack it up. There is a freebie, a download, a PDF for 25 time tips for busy people. Come on. It's amazing. It's like, it will lead you through 25 time tips. It's very practical, and all you need to do is put in your name and address and hit submit, and you've got yourself a downloadable PDF that you can work your way through. However, if you can make it next Wednesday, the link is there. Click on the link, register. As our guests, Leah and I are going to be there. It's the Business Builders Group, and it's going to be 40 minutes of very practical, tangible, and usable tips that you can take away and put into your life.
Fantastic, Les. I'm just putting your other two links in the chat too.
Awesome. Wonderful. I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I really value your time today, Les, and so looking forward to Wednesday, and really enjoy sharing this journey through life, through this next season of life, as we continue to inspire and to bring life. I love that. Yeah, bring life to the moment, to wherever you are, and you certainly do that. So wonderful. I really thank you, Les, and look forward to chatting and seeing you on Wednesday. And thank you.
Thanks, Leah.
Bye for now.
Bye.